Hello everyone, welcome back to Roll. Recently I had a request in the comments that I don't really think warrants necessarily an entire fan build Friday because it's not a specific build per se, but they asked if I could take a bunch of the other faces that I don't usually consider and explain what they do, because when we're going for some of the more specific builds, a lot of stuff just kind of gets left on the cutting room floor. So I figure we can go through and just take a variety of things, explain what they're all about, how you might use them otherwise, and see what else we can do with that. So we're going to start off just by building probably 197 just to get us going. The reason we picked 97 is because it's the largest prime number. So when you're adding face values like this is an add to face value. Adds the specified amount to a dice face of your choice, can only be used on die faces with numeric values. So you can't add a +3 to different types of faces, just numbers as you see them there. But later on we'll see numbers that are just whole numbers that will replace a number that is present. And then there's all the other kinds of special faces. And as we add up numbers like this onto the die faces, 99 is the cap. You can't go any higher than that. But not only is 99 divisible by 3, so you wouldn't be able to get any of the bonuses for something being prime, it also doesn't divide by 5, nor does it divide by 2. So those are the big multiplier bonuses that are available. And there are also bonuses available for having no 99s present. So if you can avoid having any 99s at all, then you can get a higher score later on. But in fact, let's not go all the way to 99, or to 97 rather, because we're probably not going to take advantage of the no 99s rule here, because there's going to be some other things to show off. So we'll do a couple of refreshes here onto this extra face, and then we'll leave the 50, and we'll show off some more things in a moment. And whilst we're here, let's just explain some of the other things that are going on. So there are basically 4 screens. This is your dice as you roll it. You can click to roll, you can tap any letter of the keyboard to roll, or you can hold it down and it will continuously roll for you. Now, if you press tab or click the little pip in the top left corner, you come to the shop. The shop has some things that are locked at the beginning, and you can unlock those by purchasing shop upgrades. And once you've run out of stuff to buy, like here, these all cost 0 because I've purchased them, they're no longer there for sale, we can refresh the shop, and we do that by getting a free reroll every 100 rolls of our dice, or you can pay the cost that is associated underneath. On the right hand side here there is a flag. You can right click on an item in the shop, and then when we have enough money for that item, it will automatically bring us back to the shop. The other screen here is just an overview of what all of our different faces are, but at the moment this is the only dice we have. So let's refresh once more, and because we already have enough money, we don't need to go back and re-roll for some of these. And then I will right click on this 3, puts the flag there, and then when we come back to here I can hold down the spacebar, and as soon as we have more than 99 it brings us back to the shop. So let's get this 5, we'll put that on the 20 there to make it 25, and now we will save up 770 to upgrade our shop. So when we have 770, we get a die for free. You always get 1 die of 1 through 6 when you upgrade the shop. So if we go to our die faces over here, there's the die that we have just received. And then at the moment we can't upgrade our shop again, and we still don't have any access to any of the new stuff. We have to refresh it once. That gets us fresh new stuff. So whereas these numbers up here are add to face value, the ones down here are just new numeric faces. So if we take this 16 here and save up enough money to buy it, when we purchase it, rather than adding 16 to a number, it will change this one into a 16. And as the shop progresses, you'll see those in all kinds of values, from the small numbers that we were presented with earlier all the way up to 99 and interesting numbers in between. Now, this is a single face multiplier, Replaces a die face of your choice with a single face multiplier. When rolled, this face will have the value of the highest number across any of our dice times the multiplier. So if we save up for that now, and put it on our right hand side die here, and then roll a couple of times until we see it come up. So you'll see this die face, if you look in the lower left corner just here, you can see a breakdown. This numeric 50 is worth 50. This single face multiplier is worth 2 times the highest roll result, which was 50, so that's worth 100 to us. Now, locks we will worry about later once we have some more dice to work with, but for now I think we will refresh again at this tier of shop. So these ones with all the pips are just numeric faces that are smaller than 12, or 12 or smaller, because once you get to 12 pips on a die, in fact let's buy this 10 here. So this 10 has 10 pips. If we add 2 more, it'll go to 12 pips, and we can't fit anything more on there. Then if we buy plus 3 and put it on that 12 pip there, rather than trying to cram more pips in, it will just go to 15. But just because they're showing pips doesn't mean they're not numeric faces. They are still numeric faces, just represented by dots. Here we have times 3 and times 4 single face multipliers, just like we had just purchased. But we also have light weights. So a light weight adds to a die face of your choice. The weighted face is more likely to roll, but you can only have 1 weight on any given die. So if we take that weight and put it on this times 2 that we have over here, when we roll that dice now, that face is slightly more likely to appear. You see, even in that small sample, obviously it's not an extensive sample, but we saw lots of it, lots more than we would expect at random. If we refresh again, here we have an adjacency multiplier. Replaces a die face of your choice with an adjacency multiplier. When rolled, this face will have the value of all orthogonally adjacent numeric dice times 1, because it's 1 on the die face itself. Does not stack with attached roll multipliers. On reroll, can target dice that are not rerolled, only affects numeric faces. So if we purchase that, and we put it here on our left dice, when that comes up, so it's worth 1 times 3, that roll is worth 3 to us. But if we have a die on the 4 orthogonal faces, that's above, below, left and right, it will be worth the total of those 4 dice times 1, or just the total value. So after that, is there anything else we want here? We can get an incrementer. We haven't seen one of those yet. So this is a 1/2 incrementer. Adds a 1/2 incrementer to a die face of your choice. Increases the value of the face every 2 or every other time it is rolled. Only affects numeric faces. Replaces existing incrementers. So if we roll up and purchase that and put it on this 3 here, right now it's a 3. But if we can get it to appear again, now it's kind of, you can imagine in the background that it's 3.5. Then when it rolls again in a moment, now that same die with the arrow is appearing as a 4. And that will keep happening until it caps out at 99. Don't want any of this other stuff particularly. Right, now we're seeing kind of stuff that's very similar to what we've purchased already, so we will upgrade the shop again. And we get a die on the left, and the first 4 dice will always appear right, left, above, below the center dice that we're working with. Then it kind of works out in a large diamond until it makes a big square, and then they go across the bottom, left and right's working up, and then across the top. So if you want to see new stuff that we've just unlocked at this tier, of course, we need to refresh. And something that we get now is the ability in these bottom 2 on the left, bottom row 2 on the left, we have the opportunity to add whole dice. So this one here is add dice bracket 2, add die faces 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, or there's one here with 6s, add die faces 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36. So if we just buy the cheaper of those 2, obviously our scoring is not ideal yet, but that's absolutely fine. That's going to populate the 4th spot. Now, when we upgrade a shop that would have put a die here, it will just put it in the next available space. A 99D incrementer is just what it sounds like, rather than like our face on here that is now up to 20 because it's incrementing up. If we purchase this on here, that 99, as we roll through and it appears, is going to go 97, 96, and so on until it goes down to a value of 1. Except it doesn't want to roll. There it is. So that's a D incrementer. Here we have 6 half incrementers, so it's just like the half incrementer we bought earlier, but it puts it on every face of the die. And here we have a triple reroll, so it's add reroll, and then it's got 3x inside the symbol. Adds a reroll to a die face of your choice. Rerolls the die additional times according to the amount specified. Does not stack with other reroll effects, replaces or replaced by glue or other added rerolls. Note, when a die is rerolled in any way, it can only affect other rerolled dice. So if we purchase that, and we'll put it on our 24 here, because that's going to then, every time it comes up, put it up 1.5 points on its half incrementer, so that's going to get it to 99 much more quickly. Then over here we have a die adder. Replaces a die face of your choice with a die adder face. Every 50 times this face is rolled, it will add a new standard die with die faces 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can get this in whole dice where every face is a die adder, but here we will just put it on this center dice here. So every 50 times that is rolled, we will get an extra die for free. This is a new one here. Die quantity multiplier. Replaces a die face of your choice with a die quantity multiplier. When rolled, this face will have the value of the quantity of dice times the multipliers. This is times 10. So if we purchase that, we'll stick it maybe up top here. And then we will go and try and roll that. You can see that it's worth 4 dice. 1, 2, 3, 4 times 10 is worth 40 to us. So as we add more dice from the die adder that we purchased, it's going to roll and add a die every 50 times it appears. Or when we purchase dice otherwise, this number would increase because it will be the number of dice that we have times 10. What else do we have here? We have a 2x multiplier. So if we purchase that, if we put that here on our 50, when we roll that 50 now, you'll see that it's 50 in times 2, so in the bottom left you'll see it's 50 times 2 of the attached multiplier, roll result 100, so that's increasing the value of that. As standard, you can purchase up to 10x, and that is the maximum you can have, but there is a passive that lets you add those numbers together, but we'll get to passives in just a minute. We've seen single face multipliers. This is a full incrementer adder. So previously we purchased a half incrementer on this 34 that was putting up a number every 2 rolls. We can put an incrementer up over here, and that will be every single time that 2 appears it will become a 3, then the 3 appears it will become a 4, and so on. We can also buy 6 rerollers. This is just like the reroller we bought that we put over here on the 35, except instead of being times 3 rerolls, it's 1 reroll, but it gets applied to all 6 faces of the die. So if we put that on here, it means that when that die is rolled, you'll see on the left it says numeric 6, roll result 6, attached roll times 1, numeric 4, roll result 4. So we have 2 roll results there because the dice was rolled twice, because the entire dice has a reroll attached to it. What else do we have? Pretty standard stuff here. This is an adjacency reroller. So previously we purchased an adjacency multiplier here. Adjacency reroller would do just the same thing, except instead of multiplying the things that are next to it, it will get them to reroll once. So let's stick that up top so we can influence the thing on bottom, and then once we have 9 dice, there will be things to the left and right of it. This is another thing we haven't seen yet. Add face value to itself. On a face of your choice, add the face value to itself. Effectively multiplies the chosen face value by 2, can only be used on die faces with numeric values. So that 50 that we created earlier, we can double that to a 99. So that's doing almost twice as much work for us now. Here we can buy a die that has all ones on each face, but those faces come with automatically attached half incrementers. So if we purchase that, all 6 of those faces on that die come with the half incrementer on it, so those ones are all going to slowly start growing into larger numbers until they all cap out at 99. Then the rest of stuff is things we've seen before, so I think it's probably time to consider upgrading our shop, but before we do that, we can get this die rebate face. Replaces a face of your choice with a die rebate face. Whenever you add a new dice via the shop, the adders, locks, etc., if this face is face up on a die, then the die's next roll will be worth additional points according to the amount on the number. So the amount of dice added times the amount. So if we had this face up when we bought these 2 dice, because it's 2 times a dice with all 1 faces, we would get a rebate of 1,000 back. So let's put that somewhere. And you'll hear we've just gained a die because this has been rolled 50 times now, so we've got an extra die over here. Let's utilize that, put that on there. Right, now I think it's absolutely fine for us to upgrade. You can upgrade the shop a total of 4 times. And then of course, because we've upgraded, if we want to see the new things that are available to us, we need to refresh the shop. And so now we have the introduction of passives, which are these things in the 2 bottom right sections. So if we purchase one such as double your highest dice, upon purchase, your highest scoring die will always be doubled. Effect does not apply to wilds or dice which multiply the entire roll. So that's 35,000, which is quite expensive. So before we do that, let's invest in some other things that are going to let us score a little bit more highly. So this is 6 times triple rerolls. So that's going to be on every die face of a selected die. Though that die will always reroll 3 extra times, so that's going to be 4 times in total. So if we put that on this guy here, and then the 10x we can put on that 99. So every time we roll that, it's going to be worth 990. That's how maths works. So rather than being a times 2 here, actually we'll put it on the 87 because this will be a 99 soon enough. And then with that extra earning potential, we can then go ahead and get double highest die. That's 35,000. And then we have this new menu on the right here. So at any point, and it's very hard to see, there's a little chevron on its side there, a little arrow. You can click that and you can see all the passives that you've purchased, and you can highlight over them and it'll tell you at the top there what that passive does. And then once a passive has been purchased, you won't see that passive again, with the exception of buy one, get one free, which is where you buy something and then something else in the shop that was worth less than the thing you purchased becomes a cost of 1. Let's see what else we can find. There's lots of new stuff there. So up here, we have a kilogram weight. Previously, we had purchased a gram weight. Let's get a good look on that. So you'll see here, there's a gram weight on there, which means it's slightly more likely to appear. Obviously, if we put a kilogram weight on something, then that face is far more likely to appear. So where should we put that? How about on this 99 times 10 that we have going here? Then we have glue. Add glue to a die face of your choice. When a face with glue is re-rolled, it gets stuck on the glued face for all of the following re-rolls. Replaces or replaced by attached re-rolls. So if we purchase that, and if we glue down our rebate face here, once we put some re-rolls on that, or get it re-rolling in some other way, we will be far more likely to get rebates, because once that comes out once, it will always be stuck there for the remainder of that roll. Here we have set all die faces. Choose a numeric die face. All faces on the chosen die will be set to the value on the chosen face. Now, do we have a good candidate for that? This 99 seems like a great candidate for that. So we'll roll up 38,000, 39,000, and then if we click the 99 there, all the other numbers on that die are now 99. What we can also do here is we can add a lock. Adds a lock to a die of your choice. A locked die can't be modified and will not produce anything for the number of rolls shown, so 300 rolls here. After the specified rolls, the die will become unlocked and duplicate itself. So if we take a die that we're not awfully attached to, how about this one that's slowly growing here? If we lock that, it presents itself with the 300 lock symbol. So after 300 rolls, we will get a copy of that die, so an exact clone. This here is a void. Void. Replace a die face of your choice with a void face. When rolled, this face will have no value. When this face is not rolled, it multiplies the value of the rolled face by 2. Consumes all existing weights on a die with a void case with a void face cannot be weighted. So if we pick up one of those, and let's replace this 96 here, that's only going to get smaller and smaller and smaller, with that void. Now, when we roll on that die, you'll see that when the void came out, it says roll result 0, attached reroll times 1. But then numeric 99 was doubled thanks to the void, and then that was doubled thanks to it being our highest die, so that roll came out to 396. Now, if you have multiple voids on the same dice, it will have the value times 2, times 2, times 2, times 2 for each void present. But obviously, you can only have a maximum of 5 voids and then one number that is scoring and producing score for you. This is a die booster adder face. So we've previously seen an example where this thing is rolled and it adds a new dice for us every 50 times. If we put this over here, every 150 times this is rolled, it's going to add a die where it has a die quantity multiplier times 10, times 10, times 10, times 10, a die quantity multiplier times 20, and then a die adder face on that die. So we should see that a little while down the line. Now, this is our first example of a lottery face. Replaces a face of your choice with a lottery face. When rolled, this face has no value, but it has a percentage chance to be worth all of the dice times the multiplier. This does not apply to wilds or faces which multiply the entire roll, and this occurs after other bonuses are applied. So if we pick that up, and we'll put it over here on this empty die here. So when we roll, and that face comes up, it has a 10% chance to be worth 1/4 of the value of the entirety of all the other dice combined. But obviously here you'll see that the 10% lottery failed, so the roll result was 0. So 1 in 10 times you can expect that to pay out, but there are ways that you can increase your luck later on. Right, I think that's plenty enough for that shop. So here, this is new, a previous roll multiplier. Add a previous roll multiplier to a die face of your choice. When rolled, this face will have the value of the previous roll result times 2, or the multiplier. This effect cannot repeat. This effect cannot multiply the result of a total roll multiplier, or the result of a wild face. So if we purchase that and put it over here on this die with the 99s and the void there, and we roll that a few times. So the previous roll result was 198 times 2 times 2 times 2 for the void was 792. And the roll result now was 0. Why was the previous result 0? Oh, I know why. The last 2 rolls were the previous roll result. So the last 2 rolls in a row, because it's re-rolled once, were this face. And because you can't keep multiplying your previous roll result over and over to infinity, we get 0 because we can't multiply a multiplied result from the previous roll. What else do we have here? We have swap die positions. So say you were doing something with our adjacency rerolls here, and we wanted this adjacency reroller, rather than being up here where it's only currently impacting 2 dice, to be in the middle where it will impact 3 dice. We can move this whole die with that one, and they swap places in their entirety. And here we have a multi-face multiplier. We've not seen this yet. Replaces a die face of your choice with a multi-face multiplier. When rolled, this face will have the value of the most common number times the number of occurrences of that number. So if your roll result is 1, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, and the multi-face multiplier, then the value is 4, because it's the number that appears the most, times 3, because that 4 appeared 3 times, times the multiplier, which in this case is 3. So if you have a bunch of dice that are all the same number, and then a bunch of these faces, you can end up taking a number like 99, and if that 99 is present 30 times, it's 99 times 30 times 3. So that could be a very interesting roll if we decide to try and figure out how many die face of the same value we could get. Right, let's carry on, see what else we can find. Here is a 4-leaf clover. So, 4-leaf clover. Replace the die face of your choice with a 4-leaf clover. When rolled, all lottery faces will have a percent added to their success chance equal to half of their original percentage. So, this guy here has a 10% chance of giving out a payout of 1/4. If we put our clover over here, on any roll where the clover and the lottery face are both present at the same time, rather than having a 10% chance of a return, it's a 15% chance of a return. We can also pick up a void die here. This will be a good example of showing off what multiple voids can do for us. It's very expensive, but should probably be worth our trouble. You can see that our die adders are continuing to make dice for us. So here is a void die. This void die has 5 voids and a 78. So when we can successfully roll that 78, and we look at the metrics for that I clicked, we can see that it's a numeric 78 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 again. And that is also our highest die, which is then doubled for another 2. So that 78 is worth 4,992 because it's been doubled 6 times. I think it's 6. But in any case, if you have a very large number, such as a big lottery payout, then that lottery payout can be made even larger by having other faces of that die be voids. What we can also do while on this screen is, obviously we can see the breakdown for the scoring on our other dice, but we can also look down here and see that this 300 lock is locked for 38 more rolls. So in 38 rolls, that will then create a new dice for us. We can also get things like a doubles bonus. The value of all doubles will be increased by 50%. Will not occur if a die is included in a triple or a Yahtzee. So here, if we can roll 2 99s, you can see that on the second roll there, it's a numeric 99, times 2 for the void, and then plus 50% extra because it is part of a double. The 6s will get the same. It's a numeric 6, plus 50% bonus because there's another 6 on the screen, so that roll result is worth 9. So as these things all start to stack up, you can get very, very large scores indeed. Right, I think at this juncture, we will upgrade our shop again. As ever, upgrading the shop presents us with a new dice, and then we can refresh. So we don't unlock any new slots in the shop at this time, but we do unlock a slightly higher tier of things that can be presented to us, I think. or it might be that the slightly rarer stuff in the shop gets a slightly higher likelihood of being presented to us. So here we have a shop refresh adder. We'll pick that up for 200,000. So it's a little late for these, but we'll show it off nonetheless. So now that we've put that there, every 50 times that face appears, not unlike the die faces generating a new dice every 50 times it's rolled, every 50 times this is rolled, we'll get one free restock of the shop. What else do we have? Modified dice are full of extra gubbins. We should probably buy one and then we can pick it apart. 300,000 shouldn't be too much for us right now. See our rolls there getting down to about 750 now, starting of course on 2500. So there's our new dice. Come into our screen and take a look at it. So we can see that it's all ones, but it's re-rolling in triplicate, and these ones are worth times 5, this one is worth times 10 with a small weight, and this one is worth times 10 with a kilogram weight. So what we should be able to do eventually is we can buy faces like this 18 if we want to, and we can then swap one of these ones out to be an 18, so that will be worth 18 times as much as the one was. Or if we can find it, there is a upgrade that lets you swap two faces of a die between one die and another die. What we also have here that we have not seen before is a times 5 multiplier. Now this is not to be confused with this, which is a multiplier for a face. So this would take a, let's do it as an example. If we buy this plus times 5, excuse me, and we put that down here on this 45, it's going to put a times 5 in the corner. So that 45 will be worth 5 times as much when it's rolled. This times 5 is a multiplier of the entire run. So is it a million? 1.1 million. So it's going to be a good chunk of rolls to get there. I think we should be able to do so though before we run out. As ever, just holding down the spacebar. You can clickety-clack at your keyboard like you're a hacker if you want to roll that way. What I've also done sometimes is bind my scroll wheel to be spacebar and then just roll the scroll wheel on my mouse a lot to get lots of rolls going. So, replaces a die face of your choice with a multiplier. When rolled, this face will have the value of all dice times the multiplier. This includes single and multi-face multipliers, but excludes other multipliers of the same type. Note this effect occurs after bonuses. So if we get that times 5, put it on one of our plain dice over here, then let's put a kilogram weight on that. And then we'll refresh this for now. There's some stuff there to check out in a moment, but let's go and just do some rolling. So this times 5 here is going to take the value of all these other faces. And so the roll result was 3,583. And we times that by 5 to get 17,915. There's a roll of 6,125 times 5 gets 30,625. Now if I had two of these times 5s, they wouldn't multiply each other's numbers because that would create an infinite loop. Equally, over here somewhere, we have this guy, and it was actually successful this time. A 10% chance of drawing 1/4 of the entire roll, so 1,268 was the total roll. 1/4 of that is worth 317. And over here, you'll see that 1,268 was the total roll, and times 5 is 6,340. These two die faces are not impacting one another because they are multipliers that affect the entire roll. And multipliers that affect the entire roll won't affect each other because, again, you would get into like a precarious infinite loop kind of thing. Right, what else do we have here? We have a 1% chance at 77,777. So lots of the very high scoring lottery runs use this face as a launching off point to try and get very big combos going. So it's very unlikely that that 1% is going to go, but when it does, it goes in a very big way. We also have a wild here. Replaces a die face of your choice with a wild face. When rolled, this face will have the same value as your best die face. This includes any multiplicative die faces. So the question is, are we going to be able to afford this wild before we run out of rolls? 2.7 million. I think we should be alright. As ever, we've been making more dice as we go. So hopefully you can see that with all these different kinds of die faces, there are many different ways you can work up large combos, whether that's multiplying the number of dice you have and having lots of dice, or using the different types of bonuses to compound one dice to being very large. So if we take this wild, let's put it again on a plain dice and go and roll a few times. Let's see if we can get the wild to appear with something big. So we've got the entire value of the roll. This is 1501.5 total roll times 5 is 7507. And so that wild, I'm going to guess, is going to be worth 7,507. Yeah, so it's copying the highest roll result. And because, again, that is a value that is worth the entire roll result, these two faces aren't going to incorporate each other's values into the multiplication, but the wild is going to copy the times 5. The key, I'm not going to buy it, but I will explain it to you. Earlier on, we had that 300 locked die, and we had to wait for 300 rolls to pass by before it would unlock. But if the key was ever adjacent to it on another dice, then it would subtract 5 from the required number of rolls from that die. So you can very quickly reduce something like a 500 roll die. Rather than taking 500 rolls, it could only take like 60 rolls or thereabouts. Especially once you start adding some re-rolls into that. We can also get things like passives on light weights, so this is worth 500% the value of faces that roll with a light weight on them. So let's pick that up and we'll show that off. Now we have to just find a face with a light weight on it. So this 18 here is 18 times 10 with a light weight on it. So the bottom of our information here, 18 times 10 for the attached multiplier, plus 500% lightweight bonus, times 2 for being our highest die, doubled is 2,160. So we're getting an extra 500% value because it has a light weight on it. Then with 77 rolls remaining, we'll just see if there's anything major that we've missed. Of course, there's all kinds of passives that are going to impact numbers in different ways. But a lot of this stuff now is stuff that we've seen before. And these types of bonuses, plus 200% whenever you roll no weights. So if we didn't have weights on any of our die and we took this, rather than just impacting the dice that do have weights, it's instead going to universally impact every dice, which can be very favourable. This is another die rebate face. This is a die breeder, so it makes every face of this die creates a new die every 50 times it's rolled. More glue, more adjacency multipliers, Yahtzee bonuses. So if you roll a Yahtzee, which is 5 values of the same type, all the numbers on those dice will be increased by 3. Let's take a 100 times previous roll multiplier, see if we can put that down before we finish. just once. It does not want to show up, but hopefully that has been a good rundown of a lot of the die faces that I typically wouldn't take, because when you're really trying to get a very high score or work on a very particular strategy, lots of the other stuff is either going to break it or make it less efficient, and so you kind of hone in onto only taking a few very specific die faces. But there's lots of variety out there and lots of fun things that can be done with it. But we will press the spacebar one last time, and then it's going to take us out to show us our score. So we scored 248,084 there. It shows me my current highest score, which is 2.28 to the exponent 27. And we can go check out the leaderboard. We can still see that that score is it's 36th. Sorry, not 27th. It's 36th there. And you have all kinds of wild, crazy stuff going on at the top. You might recognize some of these names from the Discord. But let's see what's the 100th place score at the moment. 2.89 to the 24. But when the update comes, it will replace the leaderboard with a brand new leaderboard, so you'll have new opportunities to try and get to the top of those leaderboards as well. In any case, it just leaves me to say thank you all so much for watching. If you're enjoying the series, please do consider subscribing or hit that like button. If you have any requests for type of builds you would like to see highlighted, you can put them down in the comments down below. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.